Hello and welcome to episode 62 of the True to Life podcast. I'm joined here with Mia. She runs for Pepperdine's track and field team, and we met 2 days ago here at the SALF Leadership Conference in Dallas, Texas. This is honestly turning into the SALF series. I've already had the chance to speak with two people from the conference, and it's really cool being able to connect with student athletes from all over. Pepperdine being in California, but a high-level Division I track and field runner. So I had to take the chance to chat. So Mia, what got you into track and field? Take us back to the beginning.
Wow, we're going way back. I first started running when I was in second grade because I was sitting behind this kid in my second grade class at circle time, and he was wearing a track shirt. So I went home and I told my mom, I want to do that. And so she put me in cross country that fall, and I liked it, but I wasn't sure. And once track season came around and she put me in track, I did every event, every meet. I loved it. And I was good at it. So obviously that's that like extrinsic reinforcement. I was good at it. I liked winning. It was fun. I liked the people that did it with me. So I stuck with it all through middle school. And then once high school came around, I had some tough bouts with injuries. I had a heart condition that I was being tested for my junior year of high school. So when I got to be a senior, track season came around, winter track, and I wasn't really sure what the vibe was with track because it was a little bit late to start getting recruited. I hadn't talked to any coaches my junior year, and so I really didn't have very many good times just because I had been battling injuries and health conditions. And what ended up happening was I didn't get into my early decision school, which was Duke. And that had been my lifelong dream, was to go to college at Duke and become a doctor. And so it kind of came to this moment where I had to pivot. And obviously at 17 years old, you don't really know how to pivot. It's the first time that it's a huge life decision that hasn't gone right for you or the way that you originally planned. So for me, that was a huge just internal reflection point in my life, and I definitely struggled with it a lot. Like, what am I going to do now? And so what ended up happening was my high school coach, he's the best, Dr. Wells, he asked me after a couple indoor meets, after a couple practices, have you ever thought about running in college? And I told him, I've thought about it, but I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if it's too late. I just don't know. And he said, well, if you want to, you can, and we can make it happen. And so we made it happen. I started talking to schools. Literally that day, I had this whole note on my phone of all the pros and cons of all the schools, of all the divisions, of all the different options that I had. I even thought about taking a fifth year of high school so I could get to the caliber of school that I wanted to go to. And Pepperdine just ended up falling into my lap. I went on an official visit there, and I committed, and I knew that was the place for me. It was a good fit for me. Track-wise, it was a good fit. Academically, I really was interested in moving across the country. I was ready to kind of take that step in my independence, and it was definitely the right choice. I mean, I love it. I'm a senior. I am a captain of my team. I've definitely grown a lot, and it's provided me with so many opportunities. I wouldn't be sitting here in this seat talking to you right now if I hadn't gone there. So it's a long-winded answer, but track has been a really big part of my life, and now that it's been a tool that I can use to better my education and learn so much and grow as a person and as a leader, it's been truly definitely a blessing.
So what I'm curious about is you had these setbacks in high school, but you still were able to make your way out, and you spent 4 years now. You're a captain at Pepperdine, and it's no easy thing to do. So what was the recruiting process like through that adversity? Obviously, you had help from your coaches, which is huge. Was it just sending out the times? Was it or were there any other ways you got connected with the coaches? Like what was the recruiting journey like?
So I started with just making a list of all the schools that even if I could, that I would go to, like even top of the top dream schools. And really I didn't have to do much. My my high school coach reached out to all of them for me. He was the liaison for that, and he did all the heavy lifting, so I really didn't have to do much. It was really just having conversations with him and my family about, okay, what's realistic for me? What are my options here? It's late. It's the spring.
Totally.
What are we thinking? Signing day's coming up. What's my best option here, and what's the best option for me holistically, not just from a track standpoint? And so for me, it wasn't much. I mean, once I had the schools that I was interested in and he had communicated with them and they were showing interest in me too, then I was hopping on the phone with them and I was talking to them, getting to know them, talking about their program. But I can't express how much impact it had on me to have a coach that genuinely cared about seeing me do what was best for me and genuinely wanting that for me. I think that that's something that is a really special part of being an athlete that not very many people get to experience, and that for me was very transformational, and I definitely wouldn't be here without him. So I will continue to be grateful for him like forever.
Spreading gratitude never hurts. You can't, nothing bad can happen by just spreading gratitude.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next thing, and we talked about it briefly in line today, but Division I, talk to us about the differences at the Division I level, specifically at a bigger university where like the academic component, like you mentioned earlier, is a lot. One of my favorite questions to ask other student athletes is, what are the tools that you find helpful to balance the student athlete load? But not even just that, also now that you're developing into looking at careers and life after sports too. So how do you develop and manage your busy, hectic schedule?
I mean, it's taken 4 years. For sure. It's taken years. I am very, very ambitious, and I like to bite off more than I can chew, but then still figure out how to chew it. So
that's a good way to put it.
I came into Pepperdine. My dream was still to be a doctor. So I came in bio pre-med, and that just, I kind of immediately knew that just was not what was meant for me. That was not my path. And so I switched to psych pre-med because I still was afraid of that change a little bit. And I was still like, I think I've always wanted to be a doctor, so I must still want to be a doctor. I just don't want to major in bio. But I was wrong. So after my first semester, I was like, okay, let me figure out what is actually interesting to me. I knew I really cared about psychology. I knew I really cared about the mind and how it impacts your experience of the world and how it impacts like the way you interact with others. And my school has a sports medicine degree, which is very uncommon. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to pick up a minor in sports medicine and just do that for me and see how it is. And I absolutely loved it. So come my junior year, I was double majoring in psychology and sports medicine, and all for the love of the game. Like, I just really wanted to take in as much knowledge as I could possibly take in and be around people who are interested in the same things as me and talk to professors who cared about what I cared about. And so I'm going to graduate in the spring as a double major in psychology and sports medicine, both degrees. I've done a lot of leadership work now, especially this past year with my school. I'm the vice president of our SAC board. I am also the director of our mental health board for SAC. And then I do just a lot of the external things. Like, I come to these conferences. I'm a campus captain for Hidden Opponent. Shout out Hidden Opponent. And establishing our chapter. I'm the president of our soon-to-be chapter on campus. So I definitely think that the biggest tool for all of that is my purpose. And at the past NCAA conference I went to over the summer, one of the really big drivers they were talking to us about is purpose over passion. And passion isn't forever. Passion is very short-lived. It's that fiery feeling you get at first, and it's like, yeah, I really, really want to do this. I really care about this. And then all of a sudden you're a couple months in and things are getting hard and you're tired and you have 1,000,001 other things going on.
Yes.
And all of a sudden that passion, it's just not as strong anymore. It gets watered down. And I think for me, understanding that I find purpose, like I find meaning, I'm fulfilled by talking about sports psychology and learning about sports psychology and helping future me helping athletes to learn more about their identity and what that means to them and what that is going to mean to the world beyond who they are in sport. And so that is such an important thing to me, that even when I don't feel like I want to do it, that's what makes me show up, because you're not always going to show up because of your passion, because your passion's not always going to be there. But if you figure out what you really care about and what you really want to do and how you really want to make an impact, and you find a purpose in that, then you will show up every single day, because even if you don't want to do it, you feel like you have to. And just to have that calling and to know that that's for me and that's what I'm going to do, that's what I want to do, like, it's refreshing. Like, honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do for so long. I wasn't sure who I was for so long, but now that I do know, like, that's what gets me to the early morning class at 8 a.m. that attendance is mandatory. Like, that's what gets me to the SAC meeting when it's my only day to sleep in, but I have to wake up and go to the SAC meeting. Like, all of that, those little things that it's really, really hard to get up and go to, just remembering this is what I find purpose in. This is something that's very important to me. And just carrying that with me, it takes you all the way. It's for sure. It's the key.
Mia, I can feel it in the way you're explaining it. You're passionate in the way that you're explaining it, but I can feel the purpose behind it. And what's coming to mind is, for people that are listening, that they would love to find like that level of purpose, and that, because at the end of the day, that's what we all want. That's everybody wants. So what would be your words to people listening that are struggling to find that purpose, and they're trying, but they're not finding it. They're looking for it. They're trying different things, but they haven't connected just the whatever lights that fire. What's your advice to them? How did, or second part of the question, how did you know that you found your purpose?
Okay. I think that it's hard to tell people how to find their purpose, because there's no linear pathway to it. I find so much purpose in my purpose right now, but who's to say that that's what I'm going to be fulfilled by for the rest of my life? And I think that that's something that's constantly evolving. And for me, it started off as I'm really interested in mental performance, so sports psychology is for me. And then my experiences started stacking, and like I was evolving, so all of a sudden that's what I knew, this means something to me. And I think for the people out there, if you're trying to find your purpose, like, the biggest thing I've learned is just to try everything. Like, I had so many different career paths when I was in college. I was interested, honestly, in everything. Like, there were times I was like, okay, what if I just majored in communications and I stepped away from the soft science and the hard science? What if I just did like business, or I did law? Like, I thought about that stuff, but the big thing for me was, is that something that's going to make me feel like I'm making an impact on other people? And to me, that's just not how I feel like I'm best suited to make an impact on someone. And so I'd really say, like, tune into your strengths. Like, what are you good at and what do you want to be good at? Because honestly, the thing that you're going to end up doing, you might not originally be good at it. Like, I was not originally good at talking and portraying my ideas and my thoughts, and now I come and I put myself out there and I talk in front of hundreds of people at these conferences and ask questions and just answer questions. And I think that that's something that, if you really care about something, you'll be willing to work for it, and also you'll be willing to make sacrifices for it. And for me, my biggest sacrifice is my time. And I have 14, 16-hour days. I leave my house at like 6 a.m. I don't get back till like 8 or 9 because I'm working. I need to make money. You got to put food on the table somehow. I'm going to meetings. I'm in 18 units or 18 credits most semesters. I'm doing all my extracurricular stuff. I'm networking, and it's long days. But when you really care and you really see your goal at the end, and then the goals after that goal at the end, it really helps you to know. So honestly, I can't put a timeline, and I can't put a list of directions or how to get to what you know you want to do or what you know your purpose is. But I definitely say, like, be okay with it being what you don't expect it to be. because if you had asked me 4 years ago when I was in high school that I would be as passionate as I am about sports psychology, I didn't even really know about sports psychology in high school. So I'd be like, no, she's going to be a doctor and she's going to go to med school at Duke. So it's definitely, that's something that will come with time. And I think that you're not ever really going to know, to answer your second question. I think I know that that's what I want right now, but I don't know if that's what I want for the rest of my life. And I think that that's a really big freedom to give yourself, is to not put yourself in a box. And I've been having those conversations a lot with advisors and mentors and peers and my family about what is my next step. I'm a senior. I'm thinking master's. I'm thinking PhD. I'm thinking fifth year. I'm thinking no fifth year. I'm thinking job. I'm
so
thinking
many things
internship.
juggling.
I have choice overload. I have so many choices in front of me. And honestly, it's freeing. Like, you have so many options in front of you, and you are so lucky and so blessed to have so many options in front of you when you're in that situation, that you get to choose. Instead of it being you have to choose, it's you get to choose. You get to choose what you do with your life. You get to choose where you spend the next 2 years, 4 years. You get to choose how you make impact on people. And that's something that not many people have the opportunity to do. But I think everyone has the opportunity to put themselves in that position. So I'm grateful that I have been given the resources to put myself in that position, and that I have had the resources, because some people don't have the same resources as me and they have to work twice as hard. So I think that I know that this is what I want to do and this is what I'm pursuing, and I'm pursuing it absolutely relentlessly. But I don't know if in 10 years, if I'm a sports psychologist and I'm working for a college or a pro team, that might be something, there might be a next step after that. Like, there might be something else that comes after that for me, and I'm just going to have to wait and find out, and I'll do what I'm going to do until then. And I'm just grateful, like, the journey. That's really what it's all about.
I love it. So you touched on multiple things, like how it's not linear, number one. Try as many things as possible, number two. And number three, when you don't know what's next, be okay with that. And again, the fourth thing that you mentioned is, even you have a lot of choices and you don't know where to go, that's okay too, because there's also something a little bit freeing about that, because it means you have options, you have opportunities, and like some of that unknown. I think some people, like for me, when I don't know what's going to happen in the future, I get like a little anxious. Like, I like to have like my set, there's a plan and my set routine. So when things aren't like guaranteed and set in my structure, because I'm super, super structured, I get kind of nervous. But hearing what you're saying is, it's also freeing to have that many choices, because you can pick anything, try it out, and if you end up not liking it, you can pivot and try something else out. Like, knowing that you can always move and adjust, like, I think you touched on that perfectly. One thing, do you remember what were your core values? Do you remember them off the top of your head? The three that you picked,
My core values or my strengths?
No, the core values.
Okay, yeah, I do have them. My core values are 1, personal growth, 2, religion, and 3, discipline. I'm personal growth, like, that is everything to me. That is
one of mine as well.
Yes, everything.
Discipline too, and then family was my third one.
Yes, so very similar.
Yeah,
I think that personal growth is all encompassing. Like, how can you improve in every aspect of your life?
That's life.
Yes. Yes. And that, honestly, and I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people that are close with me and a lot of people that I value about what success means to them, because I think that that's something, especially as someone about to enter like real life, is what does success mean to you? Everyone wants to be successful, but if they don't know what successful means, they're never going to be happy. And so to me, it's like, okay, let me figure out what success means to me so that I can feel fulfilled. And I think, honestly, right now, work in progress, my definition of success is making an impact and becoming the best version of myself that I can be. And that's never ending. Like, you can always be better. You can always find a way to be better. And I think that that's what's so rewarding about having personal growth as a value, is that you're always working for it and you're always getting better and you're always getting that feedback from people, especially when you do notice that you are a different person than you were, like, say, a year ago, and how amazing that feels to know that you handled a situation better now than you would have before. And so, yeah, personal growth. Always, if you can't work on anything else, work on yourself, because that's that's your biggest thing. That's your only asset.
And that little task bucket for yourself is there's always stuff there.
Yes.
So if you ever feel like you don't have any time.
Yeah. And there's always something you can do. There's always like a couple seconds. Think about something. Reflect on an interaction you had. Like there's so many ways.
Totally. Do you remember what your top strength was for the Clifton Strengths Assessment that we did?
I think it was relatability. I'm thinking. I'm going to go with relatability, but
whichever one do you think, what do you think is your number one out of the 5 like that stood out to you?
Let me think. Honestly, I probably would say discipline.
That wasn't one of mine, though.
Yeah. I think I'd say discipline.
I think that's number 2 for me.
Yeah.
There's responsibility, discipline, achiever, and then 2 others I'm blanking too.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Like given like where you are, like the way you carry yourself, like I can tell like that stuff all like it exudes off of your energy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. This is why I do this, is because it challenges me to be better. Because when I sit down with people and I hear their stories, I get to realize like how much greatness is out there that I don't normally get. I get to talk to people that I wouldn't have otherwise. Because I'm in a small bubble. I'm at a small private school at Dominican, and sometimes like I'm like a bigger fish in a small pond there. So it's fun to come to these things where I get to talk and mingle and connect with people that are also like the people in leadership at their schools. Which I had a question. In addition to that, you mentioned being the VP of your SAC at Pepperdine. What is it like being on SAC at such a much bigger institution?
Honestly, Pepperdine's not that big.
Really? Okay. So look, a misconception in my head. I'm thinking it's totally
fine.
Some
it's
big
totally
school
fine.
here.
Honestly,
educate us.
Yeah, no. Pepperdine only has, I think, like 5,000 undergrad. Okay. So we're a very small D1 school. Most of the schools in the WCC are on the smaller side.
Okay. Is Pepperdine private?
Yeah, we are private. Yeah. So smaller school, but I mean bigger expectations definitely because it's a Division I program and a mid-major conference. Like for some sports, it's a pretty good conference. And I mean it's responsibility for sure, and it's making sure that you cross all your T's and you dot all your I's. And we have a bunch of projects we work on throughout the year, but I mean we also receive a lot of support, and that's huge for us. Our faculty advisor is amazing. We all work together. We collaborate really well together. Our e-board is amazing this year, and so it's just really about everyone playing their role and carrying their weight. And honestly, I think that our board does a really good job of that. I'm really proud of my team because there's a lot of representation of cross country and track on our all-encompassing SAC board, and then the president is on my team, and I'm the vice president, and I'm also on my team. So I really appreciate my team's representation, and yeah, it's really just about making sure that you communicate and get everything done. But I feel like we do a pretty good job.
So this is something I'm noticing. Is it? And I'd be curious to ask at the other SAC conferences or levels, but I feel like track and field specifically has a lot more involvement within their campuses. I noticed at my school, there's a lot of track and field athletes here at this conference. I don't know if that is a coincidence or not.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Okay, I'm not sure. This is a random thought.
No, I don't think it's a coincidence at all. I think that track athletes, unfortunately, I have a lot actually to say about this, and I'm going to try to keep it as the least amount of controversial as possible.
You be controversial.
Okay.
I want the whole thing about this podcast is authentic truth conversations. So please unload it.
I think this isn't controversial. This is just a reality, is that track is not a sport that it's easy to go pro in. You can't really go overseas for track. Unless you're going to the Olympics or you're crazy good, it's very, very hard to go pro in track because there's no track league. It's just you're pro. You have an endorsement with a shoe company typically. And you make money off those endorsements, and then you make money off of winning. And so the reality of majority of even Division I track athletes is I'm not going pro. And so I think that ambition is also put other places. Whereas for, say, a football player, like at a Division I school, the NFL might be an option for them, even if they might not be a first-round pick. Like, it could be an option. So I think track athletes we're ambitious people. We do a sport that's completely mental, and it's about pushing your body as hard as you can. I think that we're just tough people and smart people. I feel like also track teams drive GPA heights. So I think that that's not a coincidence. I do think that the timing of this conference does help the track athletes because we're not in season yet. But I will say is frustrating about being a mid-major track athlete at a Division I school is that, especially with all the changes happening in the NCAA, track is a severely underpaid sport. And that
I've noticed that. Yeah,
that makes sense because it's not revenue generating. No one really watches, especially like streams. No one really watches streams unless it's nationals. But these teams are making up the SAC boards, and they're making up the inclusion stuff. They're doing clubs, they're driving up the GPAs, they're going to conferences, like doing stuff like this, and they're not appreciated with the same compensation as, say, the basketball teams or the football teams, because people go to their games. And so that's something that it's very convoluted, it's very nuanced, and there's only certain places where money can go. But it's definitely frustrating as a leader in track to be in a sport where, unless you're SEC, you're not really getting paid all that much. So I think that that's something that should be more of a conversation, and I have those conversations with my teammates all the time. Like, we, like, Scholar of the Year, Wave of the Year, it's an award at Pepperdine. Like, those are awards given to my teammates, like GPA, like stuff like that. We represent the school on a national level at these conferences, and we don't really get that same recognition and that same compensation as the other teams. So I think that that's definitely just a conversation across all schools. Like, not to bash Pepperdine, I understand there's money goes certain places, there's only certain places it can go, but I think overall as a community in college sports, like, I think that there should be a little bit more conversation about what's the experience of an underpaid athlete, because we don't have those conversations very much.
Oh my God, I just learned a whole bunch. I honestly I didn't even think about that. Why there's so much representation in track. I think that they're picking up a lot of the slack from the other sports that are getting compensated in other ways. I can see that on my campus, and it makes sense. This looking at this conference now from that lens makes a lot more sense too. Wow. I've never put that together.
Yeah, it's okay. Honestly, if you don't do an underpaid sport, then you don't really think about it. But all the underpaid sports, like in my school, track's underpaid, swim's underpaid, like those experiences, like, it's important to talk about them because it's very, very important to be grateful for what you have, but nothing will ever change if you don't speak up.
That's a good segue. At what point along in your journey did you realize it was important to speak up and to use your voice?
Probably within the last year.
Really?
I've always been an advocate for myself. I've always been an advocate for other people. I'm not really afraid to speak my mind. I'm from New Jersey, so everyone just says what they think, how they feel over there. So I've grown up being able to do that for myself, but I think realizing that my voice had power and weight to it, that was probably in the last year, because within even the last couple months, I've realized that I can use my voice to get me places. I can use my voice to get myself a job. I can use my voice to get myself a good grade in class. I can use my voice to make an impact on someone who I've never met before. So I think that for me, realizing speaking up, like, it can change things on literally any level. And if you are cognizant and you are intentional with the words you use, they can take you places that other things can't. Hard work It's really important. Your resume, really important. Applications, really important. But it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so to get anywhere in life, especially in this society we live in now, you have to know the right people and you have to have a good relationship with the right people. And it's really important to use your voice to create that.
It all starts with conversations, connecting, asking questions. I learned from a young age how important it was to ask questions.
Yeah.
When people in the class were afraid to raise their hand, there would go me asking a question.
Yeah.
And I just learned how important it was, and it always separated me at every level. It's important, and I think people confuse like asking questions as showing that you're confused or you're dumb or you don't get it, but in reality it shows interest, it shows engagement, it shows that you care.
Yes.
So I think that's important for young people listening to, or anyone. Like, ask questions, be fearless.
Yes.
Okay, but before we get out of here, I wanted to get what is your SALF takeaway? Because we're here in Dallas right now doing this conference, finished day 3 today. Do you have any? What's like your overarching takeaway?
I think my big thing that I really care about and that I want to study and I want to work with people on is identity. I think identity is very, very important to having a fulfilling life. You need to know who you are in order to do anything, to have influence, to be successful. And as athletes, especially at a college level, and then college athletes looking towards a pro level, you get to a point where you don't really know who you are beyond your sport. And the thing with sport is that it's finite, and the unfortunate truth is that you don't know what could happen tomorrow. And tomorrow in your sport is not promised, and if you don't know who you are beyond your sport, you're going to have nothing. So we've talked a lot about values and about that being your compass, and values are what make up your identity, because values are what you know yourself to be true, and that's what kind of guides you through your entire life. That's what gives you direction. That's what gives you purpose. And so in order to lead people, and leading people doesn't just mean telling people what to do. It doesn't just mean leading by example. You lead anyone you interact with because you have influence on anyone you interact with. And so in order to lead and in order to connect everything I'm saying, you have to lead yourself first. And in order to lead yourself first, you need to know who you are, and you need to have a strong foundation in who you are. We talked about today, we heard like you can adjust your sails, but you cannot adjust your standards. You need to know who you are. You need to know what you stand for. You need to know what you want to make sacrifices for. You need to know what you care about, and you need to know how you want to show that you care about that. And so really my biggest takeaway is know who you are. And that's something that I've already known, but hearing all these other tools that I can take back to my campus, I can take for myself, I can take for anyone I talk to. Like, knowing who you are is one of the most crucial parts of becoming an adult, like becoming a part of the real world, like growing up, maturing. And a lot of athletes lose that step because they're so wrapped up in their sport, and they're so wrapped up in what numbers they can produce, like what their intangibles are. But the most important intangible is themselves. Like, who are you? What's your identity? What do you believe? And then what are you going to do with that? How are you going to impact people beyond your sport? Because no matter who you are, like your career will end one day. So it's really important that you can wake up and look in the mirror that day and see yourself as your whole self, and not just as an athlete, and see what you bring to the table, and see what other people can value in you and what you can contribute to the world beyond that. So I think that that's something, a little bit of a personal twist on what we generally learned here. Like, to me, it's all about identity. Like, how can I make it about knowing who I am?
Dude, that's gold. If you're walking away with that, I think this is a win. But one thing I wanted to add before closing thoughts would be, First step's like knowing who you are. For me, if I'm trying to find who I am, number one, you got to spend time with yourself to get to know who you are, and then challenge yourself. Like through the challenges, you'll begin to understand like what makes you tick. Like
Yeah,
what,
for sure.
how do you respond to adversity? How do you respond to challenges? So put yourself in uncomfortable situations, like you mentioned earlier. Yeah. That was great. I've honestly I've really enjoyed listening to your insight on this stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so do you have any final little closing thoughts? Any shout outs you want to give for anyone listening out there before I ask you a final question?
Hey mom, love you. You're the best. You made me the woman I am today, and I wouldn't be sitting here saying these things if it wasn't for you. So, love you. You're the best.
I don't do that. You gotta love the moms out there.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just think that if I could tell anyone one thing, it's just keep searching. Don't ever stop searching. Don't ever be satisfied. Be relentless and connect with people. It's really important to connect with people and leave your imprint on people and find your ways to, I don't know, make people want to be better. I love the people in my life that make me want to be better. So just striving to be that person every day. It's very fulfilling.
YouTube viewers, that was right to your soul. That was awesome. Wow. That's I'd tell you, I leave these conversations like more energized than when I came in. Like I'm very excited. Last question, flipping it on to you. Do you put your interviewer hat on? Do you have any questions for me?
Do you know who you are?
I love that. I love how quickly you asked that question. I do not. And it's something I've been struggling with. And coming to this conference, I've been struggling with tapping into like who I am. I think because for the longest time in high school, playing men's basketball, I've had a hard time relating with my peers sometimes. But when I come out to these kind of events, I know who I am. But then I got to go back home. But then I feel like I look, and this is horrible. And I've been honest on the show about it. For the longest time, and I've struggled with it, trying to fit in, trying to say the right thing to, be accepted by the social groups. And that's why I think it's been so cloudy in my head of who I am. The reason why I say no is because it's not every single day. I feel like it's every day. I'm searching. I'm questioning. I'm never satisfied with my current answer. I feel like it's changing all the time. But I'm very real with myself. Like if I don't feel like something's right, like I'm gonna say it. Like I would not sit here and tell you I know I am. I wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie to you.
For sure, I appreciate that.
Not gonna lie to you. And I agree with you that it's one of the most important things and something that I'm still doing soul searching. But I do know one thing. I really enjoy making relationships and connecting with people. And I feel like for the longest time, I've gotten away from that. I moved off campus my sophomore year, and I kind of like pulled myself away from social situations, pulled myself away from people, got really obsessed with work and productivity and just taking responsibility for myself and just checking off boxes. Like, how many things can I get done? Like, how successful can I be? How successful can I look on the outside? But really, like, how am I developing on the inside? And now as a senior, now I'm asking those questions of, hey, how's the inside looking? Just checking back with the person who I am that I've grown up to where I am now. It's checking back in with the inside of me. And I can say that I'm closer now to finding out who I am than I ever was. Yeah, let me think a little bit. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, of course. I just think it's very important to think about, and I appreciate your vulnerability because it's not easy to say you don't know who you are because on a surface level, everyone knows who they are. You like basketball, you do your podcast.
Like, I have business, like all that good stuff. Yeah. I love my family at surface level though.
Yeah. So it's very, very hard work to look at yourself and be like, all right, I'm just going to have these conversations with myself, these very difficult conversations because like you said, people want to fit in. And the truth about fitting in is no one who is truly successful ever really fits in. because you have to trailblaze. You have to find your own way. And if you're doing it the way that everyone else is doing it, you're going to get what everyone else gets. And that's probably going to be lame. So it's just, I mean, it sounds like you're doing very well. And I don't feel qualified yet to tell you.
It's a work in progress. What I will say is, as I'm thinking about it a little bit more, I do have a purpose, and my purpose is to be a light and to light people up. But oftentimes I'm doing that for them. I don't know if I'm doing it for myself. Like, I'm doing it because I like making other people feel good. I like making other people feel accepted, because I don't necessarily think I haven't felt it, but I know how important it is. So I strive to make other people feel like that in everything I do. I'm like very hyper vigilant and hyper aware of my surroundings and what's going on. I think the speaker today mentioned that like student athletes in general are just more hyper aware. Like, our senses are heightened.
Yes.
And I feel like I've always been that way, and I never want people to feel excluded. I don't want people to feel like I don't hear them. Because like sometimes like I feel like that. Believe it or not, I'm sitting here with a microphone complaining that people don't hear me. I know that's a little crazy. But yeah, no, it might be hard to believe. But I don't know. Like I said, it's a work in progress. I do enjoy helping student athletes find what it is that makes them tick, though. So that's why I started Kaizen. Yeah. It's the business idea is continuous improvement and personal growth. It fits into the core value. And the services are in-home tutoring and private coaching. We do a whole bunch of different sports, and the in-home tutoring aspect is, like English and math tutoring. And that side is not as the most side I'm focused on. I enjoy like the private coaching, but I'm also turning it into more of like a lifestyle coaching and mental performance type stuff too, because I am passionate about that. And I have 2 clients that I work with that are in high school that are wrapping their heads around the mental game. And I tell them, like, I'm not equipped to, I don't have like the certificates or anything like that yet, but
not yet.
I do know some of the practices that have helped me perform my sports and to manage like all the things that I'm doing, and building relationships with them. That stuff is purpose driven. Like, I really enjoy that. I don't know if that answers your question.
No,
I'm
still
thinking about it though.
No, it does for sure. And I think that, to be honest, I think that you know who you are more than you give yourself credit for knowing who you are. And you might not be like all the way there yet. To be honest, I'm not all the way there yet. I don't know exactly who I am. I still have so much life left to live. Like, I'm 21 years old. I got a lot left to go. Yeah.
2004?
Yeah, 2004.
Let's go.
So I think that what you're doing, you're on the right track. Like, you are doing so much more than the average 21-year-old is doing. And that...
Can't compare yourself to average, though.
Yes, you can't. Because you have to be better than average.
Of course.
You have to be, and especially as an athlete, you got to be the best. So I think that it's an everyday thing. Like, stack days... Something that I attended the Career in Sports Forum in May with the NCAA, and something that Dr. LCJ, shout out, she's so wise. She was speaking to us, and she said, she was talking about bamboo, and yes,
please share.
Yes, so bamboo grows down for months before it even pops up out of the surface of the earth, and then when it pops out of the surface, it shoots up. And that is kind of what it means to figure out who you are and then start making something of your purpose. Like, you're doing all this work that no one else can see for a long time. And then all of a sudden one day, it all just makes sense and it all just lines up. And for me, that's where my faith comes in. Like, I believe that the Lord will provide for me if I work for his purpose for me. I know that not everyone has those beliefs, but whatever your beliefs are, you can know that whatever you're working for will pay off. There will be, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. There will be something that comes from that. So you're working hard. You're doing a lot of work that other people aren't willing to do. You're doing things that are making an impact. That will help you to see. Like, those things will help you to see, this is what means something to me. And it might take a day, it might take a week, it might take years, but if you keep it, the key is you don't give up. Like, you got to just keep working every day.
You know what I'm thinking about? I think I have my purpose. I know my purpose is. I'm also just expecting it to just like illuminate under the wall and just be like, hi, purpose, but that's not how it works.
It's not how it works.
It's in your head and it's internal. Which makes me think of something that I was thinking about before I went to bed last night, and it was making me I was struggling to go to sleep for every reason. I think we're learning so much here that I got for me, like my mind is just racing. I got nighttime. That's why I like to read before bed, or at least try to on a good night.
Yeah, that's good.
I was genuinely thinking about the concept about, obviously the physical body and the mental body, and like the mind, and it was something a little bit graphic, but I thought about how just like if someone's head was, okay, so I'm sorry, stay with me. If someone's head was chopped off, like the physical body that you spend so much time, even as athletes, we spend so much time perfecting our physical bodies, whether through weights, mindful of what we're eating, running, all the stuff we do to take care of our physical body. Oh, we shower every day. You take care of as student athletes, so we do. And just imagining that if your mind were to shut off, like everything else goes. And I think that's just to tie everything back with a bow, back to how important it is to focus on like your mindset, your mental health, and finding is like, what is your identity through the transitions? Like your mind is really where it is all at. And with that, I wanted to know if you have a final quote to share. I feel like you might have or you can be scripture, a quote, something to share and to leave the audience with. Okay. After I give my crazy graphic detail.
Okay, well, your crazy graphic thing, I'll share two things. The first thing is that you are stronger than you think, and your mind controls your body. Your body doesn't control your mind. And I think as an athlete, that's something that's very important to remember. You tell your body what to do. Like, if you're in a hard workout, you get to decide, like, am I giving up? Am I letting up? Or am I going to tell my body to work harder? And also, as an athlete, tying it back to identity, your body doesn't tell your mind what to do. Your mind tells your body what to do. So don't let your body and your physical capabilities tell your mind who you are and what your value is. That's the first thing. Second thing, my favorite scripture ever, Romans 8:18. The burden you're experiencing now cannot compare to the joy he will reveal to you later. I meditate over that every day. It's on my bracelet. The pain you're experiencing now and the burden you're experiencing now cannot compare to the joy he will reveal to you later. And that's something that has gotten me through so much in my life, because you never know what's coming on the other side. And it's just, like I was saying, it's freeing to not know, because it's all already out there for you. You just have to find it.
Yeah, thank you.
Of
I
course.
have thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so much for the conversation, the insight. I feel like we covered so many different things. We shot all around. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. This was episode 62. Information about Mia is going to be in the episode notes. Her LinkedIn, and any profiles that she wants to share will be in the episode notes. We're both LinkedIn junkies, so please tap in there. Yeah, number one way to grow a podcast is through sharing it. So please, if something from today's episode spoke to you, please remember to share this with somebody. It means the world to me. Thank you so much, and I'll be back here next time.
Thank you.